Have you ever noticed how much effort we spend trying to explain ourselves, prove our worth, or gain approval from others, even though we rarely take the time to truly listen to ourselves? Carl Jung, who dedicated his life to studying the human soul, discovered that happiness doesn't come from being recognized by others. It comes from recognizing yourself. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming your true self. It means turning inward, facing your fears, your chaos, and the parts of yourself you usually avoid. When you stop focusing on the outside world and look within, something deep begins to shift. When you choose silence, you allow your actions and presence to speak for you. This path isn't for those who seek attention, it's for those brave enough to face the emptiness that appears when all noise fades. In that silence, you find a new kind of power, the power that comes from inner growth and authenticity. In today's world, people are constantly talking, trying to be heard, seen, and proven right. Silence has become rare. We rush to respond, to defend ourselves, to make sure we don't appear weak. But Jung pointed out a paradox: true power often appears when we are silent. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a state of awareness. It's the moment you stop pouring your energy into outside noise and turn it inward. When we're always speaking, we only hear the echo of our ego, the mask we wear to fit in. But when we pause, the shadow, the hidden, repressed parts of ourselves, begins to emerge. Only by facing that shadow can we access our true power. Think of an argument. In the heat of it, you feel the urge to respond right away to prove your point. Later, you realize that most of what you said didn't help. But if you stay silent, breathe, and observe, you gain perspective. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means self-control, control over your emotions, your reactions, and the energy between you and others. Science supports this. When we are quiet, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that handles decisions, gets space to work properly. Without emotional overload, we think more clearly and make wiser choices. Silence, then, becomes a reset button for the mind. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Silence allows that process to happen. We can't hear our deeper selves in the midst of noise. Just like a stream can only be heard when we leave the busy marketplace, our inner voice speaks clearly only in quiet. Through silence, we begin a dialogue between our conscious mind and our unconscious, the place where creativity, intuition, and self-understanding live. Silence is also a quiet act of refusal. It means not getting caught in the endless need to prove yourself or seek validation. Modern life celebrates showing off. The more we share, the more valuable we think we are. But in truth, constant display drains our inner strength. Silence says, "I don't need to explain myself to exist." That's real freedom. Consider someone building a new habit or working toward a goal. If they keep talking about it, they feel a temporary rush of satisfaction, as if they've already succeeded. Studies show that talking about goals gives the brain the same reward feeling as achieving them. But this illusion weakens motivation. In contrast, the silent person focuses on the work itself. Every day, quietly, they grow stronger. Their progress may not make noise, but the results speak for themselves. Silence also holds power in relationships. In conversation, the quiet person often leads without trying. Silence makes others reflect, guess, and fill in the gaps. Used wisely, it adds weight and mystery to what you do say, much like pauses in music make the melody meaningful. Without silence, music would just be noise. The same is true for words in life. On a deeper level, silence connects us to something greater than ourselves. Every spiritual tradition, Christianity, Buddhism, Sufism, Zen, honors silence as the doorway to truth. Jung saw silence as a gateway to the collective unconscious, the shared source of wisdom within humanity. Imagine a still lake. When the surface is disturbed by wind or voices, you see only ripples. But when it's calm, it becomes a perfect mirror reflecting the sky. Our minds work the same way. Only in silence do they become clear enough to reflect truth. This is why silence is powerful. It gives you control over your emotions, helps you act wisely, and connects you to a deeper reality that words can't describe. Maybe you felt this too, a moment when silence showed you something about yourself you had long avoided. If so, share a sign in the comments, a memory, a few words, or an experience. Your silence might inspire someone still searching for themselves. Stillness is not weakness. It isn't retreat or avoidance, it's courage. The courage to stop proving, to face yourself, and to touch truth. In silence, you don't lose power, you gather it. So before reacting, pause and take 3 deep breaths. That simple act gives you back the power to choose. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness, it's awakening. But this power only has meaning when used to grow inwardly, not to inflate the ego. Many people misunderstand this. They think focusing on yourself means ignoring others or being self-centered. But Jung would say, it's not selfishness, it's awakening. Only when you become yourself can you truly be there for others. We grow up in a world that praises sacrifice. From childhood, we're told to put others first, to serve the collective good. It sounds noble, but taken too far, it makes us forget who we are. We give until we are empty, trying to please everyone, and one day realize we've lost ourselves. Jung called this losing the authentic self. Living only through the social mask, the persona. To focus on yourself doesn't mean isolating or ignoring others. It means returning to your own center. Imagine an old tree. If it doesn't draw water and sunlight to feed its roots, it can't give shade to anyone. The tree can't say, I don't need nourishment, I only need to help others. Humans are the same. If you neglect your inner world, you eventually burn out mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Take a real-life example, a mother who gives endlessly to her children, working non-stop, sacrificing her time and health. Her love is pure, but her children still sense her exhaustion. They grow up believing love means suffering and self-denial. In contrast, a mother who takes care of herself, who finds balance and peace, teaches her children something different, that love is calm, whole, and alive. Jung emphasized that self-focus creates energy that spreads outward. It's not selfish, it's sustaining. Modern psychology agrees. People who tend to their inner needs have better emotional control, make wiser choices, and form healthier relationships. Those who constantly ignore themselves to please others often fall into anxiety, resentment, or burnout. They think they're being selfless, but deep down they're driven by fear of rejection or not being loved. Jung called this the power of the shadow. When you keep suppressing your real needs, those ignored parts don't disappear. They sink into the unconscious and grow stronger. Eventually, they come out as anger, jealousy, exhaustion, or even illness. That's why focusing on yourself isn't just smart, it's necessary. It's how you prevent your shadow from taking control. Jung said, you cannot give the world what you lack yourself. If you have no peace, you spread conflict. If you lack self-love, you offer only painful sacrifice. Focusing on yourself means daring to look honestly at every part of who you are. The good and the bad. It's not about judging or idealizing yourself. It's about seeing clearly. That honest look helps you grow. This isn't selfishness, it's awakening. It's what happens when illusions fall away and you finally take responsibility for your own life. Many people experience this after a crisis, loss, illness, heartbreak. When forced to stop and turn inward, they often emerge stronger and wiser. Why? Because crisis makes them stop chasing approval and focus on what's real inside. That is the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming your true self, free from what society expects you to be. This is why silence is power. It gives you control over your emotions, helps you act wisely, and connects you to something deeper that words can't reach. Maybe you felt it too, a quiet moment that showed you what you'd long avoided. If so, share a thought, a memory, or a few simple words. Your silence might help someone else find themselves. Stillness isn't weakness. It's not running away. It's strength, the courage to stop proving, to face yourself, and to touch truth. In silence, you don't lose power, you gather it. So before reacting, take 3 slow breaths and pause. That moment of stillness gives you back control. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's awakening. This kind of focus only matters when used to grow inwardly, not to build the ego. Many people mistake self-focus for selfishness. They think it means ignoring others. But as Jung said, it's not selfishness, it's awakening. Only when you become yourself can you truly be there for others. We live in a world that praises sacrifice. From childhood, we're taught to think of others first, to put the group before ourselves. That sounds noble, but if taken too far, it makes us lose our sense of who we are. We give endlessly, trying to please everyone, until we wake up feeling empty strangers in our own lives. Jung called this losing the authentic self, leaving only the persona. You start noticing opportunities, ideas, and people who support that growth. What you focus on expands. Jung went even deeper. He believed we're all connected through a shared field, the collective unconscious. When you live in harmony with your inner self, you naturally resonate with this field. That's why people who live authentically often experience powerful intuition and coincidences that seem almost magical. It's not magic, it's reflection. The outer world mirrors your inner clarity. Imagine a mirror covered in dust. You can't see your reflection clearly. But when you clean it, the image becomes sharp. Life is the same. When your mind is filled with noise and distraction, what you attract is confusion. But when you are calm and focused, your inner mirror clears, and everything around you begins to make sense. You can see this in real life too. Some people leave toxic jobs or relationships to follow what feels right for them. At first, they face fear and judgment. But over time, they find peace, new friends, and the right opportunities. That's not luck, it's alignment. But there's an important truth: you can't fake this energy. You can't pretend to be peaceful or positive while you're full of inner chaos. Many people try, they repeat affirmations, post inspiring quotes, or wear a happy mask. But real alignment doesn't come from pretending. It comes from doing the inner work, facing your truth, and finding silence within. Only then does life begin to truly fall into place. But the universe is not fooled by the mask. Others may be impressed by the exterior, but the collective unconscious, the energy field Jung always spoke of, senses directly from your true frequency. This is why so many talk about success but never attract it. They share about love but continue encountering wounding relationships because their true energy still holds doubt, fear, and inner division. And this dissonance creates noise that causes life to reflect the chaos. Jung once emphasized, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. If the shadow has not been acknowledged, it will always seep into every energy you emit. Thus, the prerequisite for things truly falling into place is that you must be honest with yourself. Not pretending peace, but truly embarking on the healing journey. Not denying the shadow, but daring to confront and integrate it. When within you becomes unified between consciousness and unconscious, light and shadow, the energy you emit will naturally be potent and clear. Remember, the universe is never chaotic. Only our minds are. And when we are silent, when we focus, the inner chaos dissolves. The outer world immediately becomes a mirror reflecting that clarity. This is why calm, focused, quiet people often give the impression that they attract everything. They do not need to compete, do not need noise, yet doors seem to open for them because they have opened the door within themselves. So when you feel everything is disordered, when life seems against you, it may not be the off-kilter world, but you who have strayed from your center. The solution is not to run seeking more answers outside, but to stop, be silent and focus. And then you will see, without forcing, without controlling, everything will naturally find its right place. Part 4: Silence and focus are the gateway to depth. But something deeper is this. Silence and focus do not merely help you regain external balance. They open a far vaster inner journey. For when order is re-established on the surface, the door to depth begins to crack open, where you can confront the most mysterious layers of the soul, where light and shadow coexist. The space Jung called the realm of individuation. Depth in Jung's philosophy is not some abstract, distant concept. It exists within us right here, right now. But ordinarily we are drowned in the surface. Noisy news, meaningless comparisons, words that demand response, roles we must strain to uphold. Then the mind is like a lake constantly stirred by the wind. Beneath there are countless creatures, currents and secrets, but we never see them. Only when the water stills, when silence is established, do we glimpse that depth. This is why silence and focus are the gateway. Because they restore to the mind the ability to peer to the very bottom. To truly step through this gateway, you need to create small silences for yourself. In everyday life, it could be turning off all screens and sitting in quiet for a few minutes after a long day, letting the mind not be led astray by notifications and news. It could be the habit of breathing deeply in and out before reacting to criticism, as if wiping dust from the inner mirror. It could be writing a few lines in a journal at nightfall, not to judge yourself, but to allow suppressed voices the chance to appear on the page. These practices may seem small at first glance, but they are the keys that gradually unlock the door to the deeper lands of the soul. Imagine descending into a deep cave in the earth. When still holding a blazing torch, the firelight casts jagged shadows on the walls, distorting everything so you see only chaos. But when you lower the torch, allowing your eyes to adjust to the darkness, you begin to discern the true forms. Intricate cracks in the stone, glistening veins of ore, even ancient carvings hidden in the walls. The soul is the same. When shrouded in noise and the glaring light of social roles, we live only with the surface mask, the persona. But in silence, when no clamor obscures, we see the forgotten parts, primal fears, secret longings, wounds never healed. And this is what makes many fear silence, because they know it will force them to face the voices long imprisoned in the shadows. In reality, perhaps you have experienced this moment.